Did you think Man of Steel was a perfect movie? Yeah, me either.
Gross.
Welcome to another episode of Movie Maintenance. I'm your host, Juicy, and we got a very, very juicy episode on our hands today, guys. We really do. In every episode of Movie Maintenance, we analyze the main issue for every film. I think it's pretty fair for me to assume that you guys think that this is the main issue with Man of Steel. I know most of your feelings toward this man probably look something like this. Fuck you, Zack Snyder. God damn it. This is for Justice League and Batman vs. Superman. Fuck you, Zach. Oh, you think I'm done with you, Zach? That's what I'm talking. There it is. But for me, I don't really feel like that towards this man. This is how I feel about Zack Snyder. Shit. All right, let's go ahead and put the jokes aside for a second. For me, the most apparent issue with Man of Steel is the writing for the first 20 minutes of the film. Yeah, there's 20 minutes right here. It's been a while since we've used this graph, so let me just give you guys a quick refresher. Every centimeter equals a minute, so this first line is 60 centimeters, which equals 60 minutes. Same thing with the next line, and then 23 centimeters for the last line, adding up the total runtime of the entire film, which is 2 hours and 23 minutes. Then I color coordinated each character, showing us how much time that character has. So red for Super Mustache, black for General Goatee, yellow with black dots for Lois Dank, purple for Mr. Tornado Man, and then chrome for Worst Father of the Year. But we're mainly focusing on this first 20 minutes. We spend the whole intro of the film watching the destruction of Krypton. But then for that later to be shown to us when Jor-El meets Superman and he kind of shows him with the little dots thing. Like, what was the point of having that whole intro if we're just gonna rewatch it again? What I would use for this introduction is something that they kind of introduced around the 20-minute mark with Superman. They were showing cuts back and forth between his young self, his teenage self, and his current self. I think if they spent all of that time developing the kid Clark, the teenage Clark, and then the now Clark, one, that would make a lot more sense. Two, we could actually learn more about our Clark. Three, it would kind of feel like the film that this is trying to mirror, which is Batman Begins. Which in that film, we spend about half the movie of just Bruce Wayne becoming Batman. So if we had that here with Clark, that would get rid of a lot of the arguments of, oh, I don't know who this Superman is, or oh, I can't relate to him. Which in my opinion, I relate more to this Superman than any other Superman. Why don't you give us some examples, asshole? Sure, Tiny Me. What we could do is kind of have a Sam Raimi Spider-Man 1 type thing to where Clark is being bullied, and instead of refraining from beating this guy's ass, he actually does lose control and ends up really hurting someone. This would teach him that he really needs to control his powers. One isn't good enough, you bitch. Okay. Another one we could do is maybe a follow-up on that bully scene, showing Clark being upset with himself. And when he gets upset with himself, he gets even more angry and he ends up destroying like a car or a tractor or something to where he can't control his rage, so he just destroys stuff. This would lead into another scene with Pa Kent lecturing him and telling him, like, listen, you really have to, again, control your powers. And also, people are going to start noticing that cars and tractors are getting destroyed in very unusual ways, and that you have to keep these powers a secret, kind of reinforcing the secret, the control, all of those elements that set up this character and where this character starts from adulthood. All right. I think 2 is good enough. No, I think we could do 1 more. I really like the direction that they were going with Clark finding all of these jobs elsewhere and just kind of bouncing from one place to another. It makes sense. He's lost. He's trying to find himself. He's trying to find a purpose. I think it'd be really cool if we kind of picked up where they left off on that whole hitchhiking scene. If we had a conversation between Clark and the truck driver that picked him up, all about why did he decide to help him? He's a hitchhiker. So that truck driver would then tell stories about how he helped people off the side of the road and they turned out to be pretty good people, and how he also helped out other people that ended up mugging him and stealing from him. And then Clark would ask, why would you continue to help people out if people have been cool to you? And the man would go on and say that he just has hope for humanity, that he believes that every person is good, and that sometimes those good people are just in bad situations that lead them to very bad decisions. This would really resonate with Clark, because it's not just about his father and his mother teaching him. He needs to learn about the world around him as well. So while I have this up here, let me go ahead and just give you a quick rundown on what the rest of the video is going to be. The next fix that we're doing is going to be fixing the Pa Kent death scene. And then after that, we're going to fix the General Zod death scene. There's a lot of deaths for the wrong reasons in this movie. Let me just give you guys a quick refresher on the Pa Kent death scene.
You're not my dad. You're just some guy who found me in a field.
Clark!
Dad, hold on.
Go for the overpass.
Take cover!
Head to the car!
I'll get him.
No. Get your mom to the overpass.
Mom, stay here. Not my dad. Not my dad. Not my dad.
You're not my fucking mother!
It never really felt right with me that Superman would just stand impotently on the sideline while his father is out doing all of the heroic work. What I would have happen is Pa Kent would still tell Clark to go with his mother to the overpass, but then Clark would defy his father. But in the middle of them having a very brief argument, they hear other people screaming for help. So they both jet down the highway with a nice overhead shot, Superman running on the left side, showing just an ounce of his powers, while Pa Kent is running on the right side. Pa Kent would help someone out of their car, while Superman helps someone else out of their car. Then while Superman is helping, he'll hear a loud scream. He'll look over and see a car getting sucked into the tornado. So he'll then leap through the tornado, grabbing the car mid-air and landing on the opposite side. After he puts the car down, he'll ask the person if they're okay. Then before he can get an answer, we hear a large crash and Superman turns around, seeing a couple cars getting dragged towards the tornado. And sadly, Pa Kent is in the way and gets crushed by one of the cars. This makes a lot more sense because it would teach Superman the most valuable lesson that he needs to learn. And that is that he can't save everyone, even the people that he loves. No matter how hard he tries or how fast he is, he can't save everyone at once. If he's out saving someone over here, how is he going to save someone across the world over here? He just can't do enough. And that's what makes Superman so relatable, is the fact that he wants to help everyone, but he can't because it's just impossible. Alright guys, let's go ahead and get into the last fix of the video. Hold on 1 second. Hello?
Hey man, it's Alex from HiTop Films. Are you okay? I got like 40 fucking missed voicemails from you, and I'm really just concerned about your mental health. What's going on over there?
I'm just working on this Man of Steel movie maintenance. It's like a lot of work, and it's
Wait.
just
Man of Steel,
yes.
the film by Zachary Edward Snyder.
I didn't know that was his middle name, but sure.
And you didn't tell me you were doing this? Like, what have you talked about so far? You can make an hour-long video. That movie's fucking terrible.
Well, if you answer my voicemails, maybe I would have invited you.
Listen, I'm working on some of my own things right now, but just get to the point. I don't got a lot of time. What have you talked about so far?
I've restructured the first 20 minutes of the whole Krypton destroying scene. Then I moved on to the Pa Kent tornado scene.
Yeah, that made me laugh out loud in the theater, but yes.
Yeah, and then I was just about to get into General Zod, dying.
Dude, you have to restructure the whole entire third act when you're talking about General Zod's death. You have to restructure why they're fighting in Metropolis. You have to restructure the fact that Clark just lets thousands of people die and then he decides to kill Zod. Like, you have to move it to Kansas, okay? Because Clark would bring him to where he feels comfortable, because that's what Superman does. He trained on a farm. You have that line about the farm, and then what if after that, he flew him to the farm,
Alex?
and he started fighting him there.
Alex, I'm concerned about you now. Are you okay?
Yeah, I just have a lot of things to say.
Listen, I'm taking over this video. Now, in order to fix and make the entire third act of Man of Steel more Superman-ish and less Zach-boy-ish, like I was saying earlier, you have to restructure most of the final battle. Have Clark destroy the world engine, but have way less 9/11 vibes. You can trim down some of the death and destruction, and the audience will still feel the stakes of what's happening. Now we get this bit, cut the kiss. Clark and Lois need way more development before they are together. Save the kiss for the theoretical sequel that will never happen. So Superman flies down to Zod. Instead of Zod giving his big speech, we save that for later, Zod looks around, realizes that Clark is destroying everything he worked so hard to build, and immediately starts attacking him. Cut down a lot of the destruction and show Superman moving people out of the way of the fight.
Oh, but he's a new Superman. Sid won't give him the chance to say...
No, I don't care. He's Superman. He saves people. Fast forward until we get to here.
Where did you train? On a farm?
Now right here is where the big fixes come into play. Have Clark take Zod to an empty field in Kansas, an empty field where he grew up, where his parents taught him to control his abilities, where Clark feels the most human. That's what's important here, and that's what Snyder's goal was, to make Superman feel human. So now we are in this empty field, Superman smashes Zod in the ground and lands a few punches. Zod stops to regain his footing in the fight, and instead of continuing to just pound on each other, they have an actual conversation. Not a Goyer combo where Zod spouts exposition, but an actual human talk. Stop this. This is your last chance. I don't want to fight you. I don't want to fight anyone. We have these abilities here. It's our responsibility to protect them, not harm them. Protect them? You think they want your protection? Ha! They want nothing to do with you. You are alone, Cal. You can dress up like them, work like them, but you will never be accepted by them. To these humans, you will always be an alien. Now, this is Clark's big moment. All the arcs that are set up in this film are now paid off. Without hesitation, realizing what being Superman means, realizing that yes, he may come from an alien planet, but his greatest strength is being human. He simply looks at Zod, smiles, and says, "You're wrong." Zod looks disgusted. Clark looks around. They can be great. They wish to be. These people, my people. I can't let you extinguish that hope that's inside all of them.
They can be a great people, Kal-El. They wish to be. They only lack the light to show the way.
I'll never stop. I know, I realize that now. Then why are we still talking? Military copters start to approach the scene. I thought I should at least try, give you one more chance. I thought maybe you could see things my way. I know. I was foolish for thinking that. Zod starts to charge at Clark again. Clark takes in the rays of the Kansas sun, his home sun, and charges back at Zod. But this time Clark manages to grab him. He starts flying him into space, past our atmosphere, past the sun. They keep fighting. We reach some distant planet. It doesn't really matter where. The point is they are both starting to lose their powers since they are getting further and further away from the yellow sun. Both Clark and Zod are exhausted. It's over, Zod. For both of us, Cal, you can't make it back to your precious Earth. You're stuck here. Clark looks around and smiles. I can hear her, Lois. I can hear her heartbeat, even from here, even without the sun. Zod cannot fathom why he cares so much about Lois. I'll find a way back, but you won't. You're going to spend the rest of your life here, angry, bitter. You have nothing, and it must hurt, knowing that you brought this nothingness on yourself. I traveled thousands and thousands of miles to find you, to find the Codex. You don't think I can find you again? Even if you do, I'll stop you. Again. Zod's kind of desperate at this point. Why, Cal? My name is Clark. Then we pan back, cut to black, and then we transition to this lovely ending. Clark shows up at the Daily Planet, Lois says welcome to the planet, and he smiles at her.
Glad to be here, Lois.
Come on, Alex, that was cheesy as fuck.
Yeah, it's Superman, dude. He's cheesy.
How does Clark make it back to Earth?
He's Superman. Superman loves Earth and he loves Lois. It doesn't need to be shown or explained. The only information we need is that line I wrote about her heartbeat. That should tell you all you need to know. Of course, the dialogue would be better than that because I wouldn't be writing a possible fix for this movie maintenance, I'd be writing an actual movie. What matters is the sentiment of the dialogue and the idea that Clark learns to accept himself as Clark Kent. He finds his humanity and beats Zod by having that human connection. The only reason he can make it back to Earth and Zod can't is because of Lois's heartbeat, because of that emotional connection he has to a human. Zod will never feel that. Zod will never be able to hear the heartbeat. And that's all I have to say. Oh, and fuck you, Zack Snyder.
Yep, okay, that's enough. So just like the car in our intro video, Man of Steel has a lot of ideas and plot points that don't necessarily belong. It still runs well, but it gets shit on way too much. Before we end this video, I would like to let you guys know we do have a Patreon. If you guys would like to help support the channel on Patreon, this was a $36 joke. We have different tiers, so a $1 tier will get you early access to videos. The $5 tier will get you an extra blooper / behind the scenes video per movie maintenance video. And trust me, you're gonna wanna see those. So if you guys wanna check it out, the link is down below. I would appreciate it greatly. And also a quick thank you to HiTop Films for collabing with me on this video, to FICKLE for doing the illustrations, to Lucas for all the audio and music help, and then to Salvador Rodriguez, who is our executive producer from the Patreon. And that's gonna do it for this episode of Movie Maintenance. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope that... You guys hear that?
Somebody help!
Oh God.
Somebody help! My dog took the tree! Help!
Here you go, miss.
Thanks, but who are you supposed to be?
I'm Superman.
Isn't Superman's costume gray?
No.
Wait, doesn't Superman, kill bad guys?
Have you seen any Superman movies?
Only the ones directed by Zack Snyder.
Aren't
you a little too fat for that shirt?
You know what? Fuck this dog.
No, Mickey!
Can you lick it again after I fix it? Just let me fix it.
Alex, you're too OCD, dude. I literally just licked the fucking knob.
Aren't you a little too fat for that shirt?
So when you do that, look up and down at me, shit. Do that. Ready?
Aren't you a little too fat for that shirt?
Be a little bit more animated. Not as like this, but let that control your body. Right? Ready? Good. Yeah, I know. Fuck, I forgot what to say. Fuck.
We can take it from the top. I'm laughing over here too. Okay, you were about to? No, dude. Yeah. Listen, you gotta fuck, I messed up. We gotta restart.
Yeah. All right, let's do it.
Only the ones directed by Zack Snyder.
You know what? Fuck this dog.
No, Mickey!